About 40 minutes from now, Fritzy takes a pie to the face. Marvin takes a pie to the face as well. More phone calls coming up. He's the Hall of Famer, three-time Super Bowl champ with the Niners. Steve Young back on the program. Steve, we were wondering, did you ever have a full-time job aside from being a football player? When you got out of high school and you went to BYU, did you ever have a job like, some of 99% of the rest of Americans where maybe you wash dishes or something? So, Todd, let me start with you. Steve Young, did he have a job, and what job was it?
I think he did have a job, and it was some kind of paralegal or something with a law office, something along those lines.
All right.
High end. No way.
Hold on. I got to go around the room. Everybody gets a guess here. But, keep in mind, he grew up in Greenwich, Connecticut.
Main streets of Greenwich.
Yeah, the other side of the tracks in Greenwich. Okay, Seton.
Oh, boy, yeah, that really changes things, doesn't it? I think he has had a job. I think it was more like working at someone's store.
Yeah. Okay. Marvin?
The great one worked at a car dealership.
Car dealership. All right. Paul?
I'm going to go real specific. When he was young, a caddy in Greenwich, and when he was in college, probably like an internship with a hedge fund or something.
I'm going to say probably had a paper route, and I'm going to say that he worked... I'm going to say he worked for his father. Steve?
All right. So the Young family had the famous paper route. I started it for years. That was when we were little. That doesn't really count. But I'm giving you the credit for it because I got to tell you the story that my brother, the worst day of the paper route was when he had to go collect the money and knock on the door and ask for the $1.30 for the Greenwich Times, as a pain. And one day my brother told my mom, I'm not doing it. She got so sick of it. And there's this great story where my mom punches my brother as hard as she could and puts him back against the wall. And we laugh about it today that my mom, who is the greatest peacemaker of all time, who would never hurt a flea, somehow got so enraged because my brother would not go collect for the Greenwich Times. She punched him. So anyway, I was in high school and in college. I worked all summers with a landscape company, Bucky Lanzarone, man, in Greenwich, Connecticut. And I ran a whole truck of guys. And the funny thing about Greenwich is you pull up to these big places, these big estates, to go cut their lawn. And all the moms come inside. The landscapers are here. We don't want to mix company. And I was like, it was rough and tumble back then.
Yeah.
But that was my job. The hedge fund thing is great. Yeah, that works. Sure.
Okay, if you're Aaron Rodgers, I'm going to make you Aaron Rodgers, and I'm going to give you the opportunity for Pittsburgh and New York with maybe the possibility of the Vikings. What would you do?
I'd sprint to the Vikings if possible. Why Sam would leave a place where he knows he's going to thrive, maybe because they had to. They told me he didn't have a spot. But you've got to find, Dan, in today's game, you've got to find a place where someone has left Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay, or Andy Reid and understands the new kind of run to the future that is necessary to be great for quarterbacks. And then you got to run to those teams. And that's what Sam found in San Francisco briefly as a backup and then as a starter in Minnesota. So I'd run to McConnell as fast as because that's what if you're going to thrive in today's game, especially with all that Aaron knows. He was born and raised in a more sophisticated era of the NFL. He can take advantage of it. That's why Tom Brady, I think we've talked about this before, towards the end of his career, I ran into him in a Monday night game. And I go, what's the difference between the old, before the rule changes, and now? He goes, well, now the flats are always open, the middle of the field is unpatrolled, and no one can hit me. And so Aaron understands that. That's why people can play in their 40s, because we know we learned in a more sophisticated time. So get to a place that understands the future and go dominate. That's to me, that's an obvious one if that's a chance.
Okay, but does Pittsburgh make sense for him if they want him? No?
Yeah, to go win some games. Yeah, but they're not built. They have not run to the future as far as the quarterback position. And those are the teams that are in the Super Bowl every year. They're in the championship game every year. They go deep in the playoffs. And so I would say, yeah, go on with your bad self if you don't want to play. You don't want to retire. I'm not done. Look, playing Pittsburgh's amazing. I mean, it's they're going to win a lot of games. They always do, and he can help them win more. But I think the way I see the game today, the way the NFL is built, you got to New York Giants. No, No.
Okay, but are the Eagles in that same blueprint that you're talking about? Because
I look, Dan, I know you're trying to trick me here and try to catch me on my little theory. Yes, because they have a quarterback that still, is going to threaten the line of scrimmage every play. They've got a unique way to run the football, just like the 49ers did, and I give them credit for that. But the idea that you're now going to go win Super Bowls by playing great defense in a running game is just not the way that it's going to get done. You have a very dynamic quarterback position, which they do have, and I think that's where they are a team of the future in that way. They have a unique way to do it with Saquon, which I give them as an anomaly, but the idea that today's game you can throw together a number one defense and a great running game and go win the Super Bowl, it doesn't happen.
But if I gave you Saquon Barkley or Justin Jefferson,
these stupid bar fights, I in today's game, Justin Jefferson with a great innovative offensive mind and a quarterback that understands the position and can really thrive. Those are the guys that go. So I'd go that way.
did you call it a stupid bar fight?
Well, that's those questions.
What is going on? This is what I do for a living.
I know, but sometimes you just gotta admire and just stand back and just say, look, people are great, and I don't want to have to pick. You know how hard it is to be great, and then you want to pick between great. I don't know. It's a bar fight.
It's just a fun philosophical question as a quarterback. Who do you want? The guy right behind you?
Let's do more of it. What can we talk about? Muhammad Ali versus what do you want to do? You call it.
Better quarterback, you or Montana?
See, I knew you. I didn't even have to. I was just sitting here going, I know where he's going, so let's just do it.
You made me do that.
I didn't do it. I was headed to Muhammad Ali. I was trying to get you off track.
Did you get a Christmas card from Joe Montana's family?
No, but I don't. I mean, look, don't try to. We never fought. We never had a fight. We never had a disagreement.
I just asked about a Christmas card.
Yeah, no, I'm just trying to say. I'm trying to get ahead of you now because I was trying to get you off of it. Now I'm trying to get ahead of you.
Steve Young, the Hall of Famer, joining us on the show. You are on record, I think, beginning of February, where you talked about the Niners need to make, or not make, maybe that sounds strong, Brock Purdy take advantage of his legs. He's not Jaden Daniels, but I think your quote was he could be 80% of Jaden Daniels. Right. You truly believe that? I
do. I think he's nifty, right? You saw him in the pocket. He can move around. He can carry the football out of the huddle. Look, I don't want to go back over it again, but because the field has gotten bigger, essentially, because of the rule changes, you can't launch your body at defenders can't patrol the field as well as they can. It's the game is quarterback position has to threaten the line of scrimmage every play. They don't need to go do it, but the threat needs to be there. That's too powerful. And the quarterbacks that are doing that every play are the ones that are thriving. And so for Brock, he can threaten the line of scrimmage. Essentially, as fast or as strong or all the stuff that other guys do, but he can do it. And I think you have to lead into it. Because if you don't threaten the line of scrimmage, all you're going to do is be a phenomenal processing quarterback, and every play is out of the huddle, and we're going to just complete lots of passes. Then you're going to have to go the retail way, right? You have to go the long way. In today's game, there's shortcuts everywhere, and you got to take advantage of them. And so I think he can do more of that. And I think that, and as they try to iterate, look, when the rule changes happened, there was three guys that ran to the future: Andy Reid, Kyle Shanahan, and Sean McVay. And every coach that come out that's been thriving in the NFL has come from those guys. And they've all they had a tactical advantage for 6, 7, 8 years. That tactical advantage is gone now. There's too many guys out there teaching the same thing. So there's got to be a new iteration of it, a new, kind of reinvent yourself. And so for Kyle and Brock, to me, it's leaning into threatening the line of scrimmage with him carrying the football. I know that sounds scary to people, and that's how he gets hurt and all that kind of stuff. But in today's game, you have to do it if you're going to be championship football.
If you look at the amount of money that the quarterbacks make and they defer, they restructure their deals, at what point do you think a quarterback should have a say in what is done with the money that they're freeing up? Like Mahomes, Josh Allen.
Yep.
Should they be able to have input in free agency?
Look, given enough time, in a million years, all sports leagues will be owned by the players, right? Because they're the ones that are on the field. They'll be the equity owners. It's inevitable over a million years. It's just that football is going to be a really long time. But I think that in that sense, players, especially the ones that you've invested to be the pillars of your team, should be included. Should be included in those personnel conversations. Should be included in the draft. The biggest mistake, and I told Aaron Rodgers, I told Tom, I told anyone I could that the biggest mistake I made was not. Look, I don't want to say that I wanted to do unnatural things and walk in and tell them, you better draft that guy, or you better take care of me, or you better. No, but I wish that I would have gone into the room and had a say and had the conversation and talked through it and tried to make sure that we were, as a quarterback, trying to advocate for what felt like we needed to try to take care of. And I encourage players to do it with the right spirit, with the right, the way to do it, with tactically that's appropriate and that kind of thing. But absolutely, Dan, if you're going to do a quarterback, team-friendly deal over many, many years, you got to tell me that you're going to be part of those conversations. Absolutely.
Well, you can only imagine what Aaron Rodgers felt when he's watching the draft and they decide to take Jordan Love, and they gave him a 5-minute heads up.
There's tough moments. I'm not even trying to avoid that, or like, I'm going to go and advocate. You better not do that. I'm not talking about threatening. What I'm trying to do is build a partnership in personnel, because what my experience was, and I'm sure it's still the same. We watched every draft class come in the first OTA, and we as players, we're all looking at the guys that they drafted. I'm like, he's pretty good, or no, he sucks. You knew right away. And like as players, if we have that sense in 15 minutes, I'm overstating it, but in a very short amount of time, why would we not be invited in to at least give an opinion about what we see in a certain player or a certain thing? I can think of Gino Camazzi, or we had lots of draft guys at quarterback. Like, what do you maybe let me work the guy out? Like, why wouldn't you have the quarterback? Like, to me, that's a big mistake that the league continues to make in not, kind of getting the opinion of the players that are on the field.
I don't know how much you saw of Shador Sanders the past 2 seasons, but it feels like, we get to this point of leading up to the draft, and then you start to get opinions. Like, we build you up and then we tear you down, and it certainly happens at that position. And I don't know how much of a role or factor in Deion Sanders with Shador Sanders, or maybe right. Teams are, saying negative things, so he'll slide a little bit, which I always find amazing that, we're not going to take him now. They said, some bad things about him. What do you think of Shador Sanders as an NFL quarterback?
I feel like we better talk about Deion for a second, because It's so much a part of the conversation. And I think I shared this with you, but if I haven't, I'll do it really quick. When he joined the 49ers, he pulled me aside and said, Steve, I am the best teammate you'll ever have. I show up every day. I'm ready to practice. I'm ready to play. I'll always be there, and I have your back. That's set. Now, the rest of it is a parade that I want you to just get some popcorn and enjoy, because it's going to be a good time, And it's exactly what he did. So I take that, and it's exactly who he was and who I think he is today. There's a parade, and get your popcorn and enjoy the parade. I think Shador is part of that same philosophy, right? It's like there's a parade to enjoy and the popcorn and everything, but is he ready to play football? Is he going to do the hard work? Is he going to be in the classroom studying and memorizing and getting ready to? I think those are all things that his dad would say, hey, buddy, you better be ready to play ball. And so in that way, I'm not going to listen to the noise. I think that Shador, it's going to be the question is about the pure raw talent. It's not going to be about his work ethic, his ability to, put the time in, to all that kind of stuff. I have no worries about that.
But, we used to say you had to be 6'4". We're looking for that guy who's 6'4", 6'4".
Prototype. The prototype,
right?
Dan, was in the pocket, delivering the football. That was because the game was different. The game is now, like, how many teams are still in the past? Like, it is now a time where the quarterback has to leave the huddle every day down with a threat attack the line of scrimmage and make the defense worry that they're getting free first downs and free touchdowns. And every great quarterback today, the prototype, is a guy that can run around, throw it all over the field, but yet can still do the traditional job of sitting in the pocket, delivering the football. That's Patrick Mahomes. That's the guy. And Shador, he definitely fits the prototype. It might not be size and weight exactly, but absolutely a prototype kind of player today.
But give me the guy who was successful as a quarterback, where you go, it didn't make sense, but he made it work. Like Drew Brees, it always amazed me because I go,
yeah, how
does he do this? And he was always had his head up. I mean, he was always looking downfield, always. But is there somebody that you played with or against, and you go, I don't know how he does it because it's just at his size, it's unique.
Well, yeah. I mean, when I met Russell Wilson, and I was like, oh my gosh, that dude. I mean, I didn't realize how much taller I was. It made me feel good. Like I was like, hey, I dominate here. But it's anyone. But I admire people that are shorter that can play the game because there is the element of kind of visibility.
But Drew Brees doesn't make sense because he's not fast, he's not quick. But he lived in an era where processing was the king. Okay,
it was the only king, and in today's game, processing is vital. But it's not all you have to have. You have to have the ability to run around throughout the line of scrimmage. That's what I'm trying to tell you is it's different. If you talk about a player that stood in one place his whole career back in the prototype days of a previous prototype, I don't know that person would thrive in today's game. It's just that different.
Would you be a Hall of Famer in today's game?
This is Dan. Come on, this is my game.
Yeah.
I mean, I was an oddity back in the day. I was the guy that was like, oh, he's a scrambler. Yeah, Bill Walsh was the only one that I remember, and luckily I was close to him, that looked at me in the eye and said, look, because you can run, you're going to be better. I believe it makes you more powerful. It makes you like the other one else was like, this is an oddity. Tie his legs up. He can't move. It's stupid. We don't need any. He's a crazy, scrambling, crazy guy. Like I was absolutely an oddity. In today's game, it is. I am the prototype, Dad. I am ready to go. Just give me a call and I'll
Are you better than Lamar Jackson in today's game?
Oh no, it's still okay. Here we go. Here we go. You can't help it, can you? You just like it's like you're drawing like a fly to the mountain.
Why are you're fired up today? Like you make me want to test you a little bit here. I mean, that's all I'm doing.
Look, I would say while we're on with Lamar, he's one of my favorites, and I think that he is the absolute prototype, and his greatness is not still yet found because he hasn't found to be great. You need lots of help. Innovative minds and offense today with lots of talent around you that can run all over the field. Like they're getting closer. Baltimore finally capitulated a couple of years ago and said, "Okay, we're in. We're going to get out of this sophisticated running game. We're going to commit. We're going to get you some offensive minds that are going to help you thrive as a quarterback and get some talent out of the wide receiver and really kind of down. They're 60% of the way there of who Lamar Jackson could be. And if you want to compare, if we raced my peak and his peak, he's quicker. There's no doubt, man. He can make people miss. I can make people miss, but not like him. But if we raced, I don't know. We'd have to.
You mean like a 40 or 100?
I think like a 40 or even a 30. You know what I mean? Like top end speed. You know what I mean? I don't know. We'll see.
Okay.
I was sneaky. I ran down a lot of interceptors. I mean, I cleaned up my mess. And I know. Have Todd look it up. No one ever. Pick six was unheard of with me. Never.
Who would be?
I was cleaning it up, and I could chase them down, and I dragged down a lot of guys.
Who would be better at delivering papers? Who would be faster, you or Lamar Jackson?
It'd be tight, man. It'd be close. Because of a collection day, you had to knock on the door.
Then you got to bring your mom.
Who knows? You can't get people at the door. The kid can't find his mom. They don't have the money. I mean, it could get really mucked up.
I hope I didn't set the tone for your day or ruin your day because, it's early.
This is therapy for me, Dan.
Okay.
I mean, no one wants to talk football at my house. This is like
poor guy. You're surrounded by women.
I know. It's just They love the game because it's like Taylor Swift said it was okay. So they're like, okay,
yes, Todd.
Steve Young during his NFL career.
No, Todd, no. You're not going to look it up and find out if there was a pick six. No, we're not doing that.
Todd.
I have the number of pick sixes. I thought that's what we wanted to look up.
He brought it up. What is it?
11 interceptions returned for touchdowns.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
It's impossible.
Wow.
That is impossible. You know what? That's what scares me a little bit, Dan, is that when you live in your own little private Idaho and you think, you know what? This is how great man, we're not good.
You were great until you got on
and
this
then you
call.
got Todd over in the corner that just wants to tear you down.
But out of 139 interceptions.
Todd, can you see how many Montana threw pick sixes here? We got to go. We have to go.
That's the best.
Thank you, buddy. That's Steve Young. I'm back after this.